So as I was collecting those acorns, I saw a nice chicken of the woods mushroom up the tree. So I climbed up and I collected it. Also cooked it and preserved it. So this video is mainly about doing that. That's a preserved one I did earlier. But it's also to tell you about my first ever competition. So I run courses in London parks. They're 3.5 hours, normally cost £45, but I'm going to offer one free to whoever wins this competition. I was going to say, yeah, thinking how to enter it. So in order to enter this competition, you have to do all those things that people who run competitions tell you to do, which is tag people and all that malarkey. But it will be in the description below. Why not actually look and see what is the best thing to do. So there it is. And you can try, maybe not these actually, because some people are a bit sensitive to chicken of the woods. But when I run these courses in London parks, I take a whole wealth of amazing tasters just to illustrate like the plants that we're seeing. And now some of those will be fungi. So I might have some lacto-fermented wild mushrooms for you to taste, or some honey candied mushrooms to taste, or some pickled mushrooms to taste, or mushrooms in various other ways that are quite unusual but really, really tasty. So I hope you can join me in that. And you know, if you don't want to enter a competition, you can just join me anyway. My next course is on the 6th of September. That's a Sunday. And then these courses go on throughout the year on the first Sunday of every month in various London parks and green spaces. So the rest of the video, it's about 15 minutes long, is all about chicken of the woods fungus. I hope you enjoy it. Oh, I will just add that because this is an ongoing course on the first Sunday of every month, is that on the Monday after the course, I'm going to be doing a different competition to win a place on this particular course. Every Monday for each month. So join me for that. The other thing, even better, if you're really, really interested in mushrooms, and by the way, this course isn't all about mushrooms, it's just I'm getting excited about mushrooms because we're coming into the season. But I also do longer fungi courses. Anyway, I'll tell you all about that in another competition to win a place on that course this Thursday, so in a couple of days. Cheers. Discovered another chicken of the woods, but it's probably about 15 foot up. There we are. This looks in really good condition. Look at the kind of egg yolk yellow colour of it. And this one's interesting because it's growing in a U now. There we are. Got some little shoots of the yew. It's a much bigger tree, of course, there. But yeah, a lot of people say don't eat chicken of the woods from yew over concerns that the toxic compounds, also medicinal for various reasons, but for safety's sake, we just say they're kind of toxic. Certainly if we were to ingest like the bark and the leaves and the seeds, could cause us problems. But I've not come across any evidence to say that the mushroom takes that up. And then the other issue is, particularly, you know, if this chicken of the woods was down here, a kind of big one as you often find, concern that yew needles might have fallen down and kind of get incorporated into the flesh. But I would just say that, yeah, when you're kind of chopping the mushroom, first of all, that's not hugely likely, and if there are any kind of bits growing in and through the mushroom, we'll just take them out. But anyway, this one's a little bit of a challenge, so kind of look at what you see around to help. Still might not be, look at that, it's just, can I do it? Oh, yes is the answer. A little bit anyway. So, oh, actually, this is, look, this is at that perfect stage where it's all very moist. Look at that. That's prime chicken of the woods. So this is the one from the ewe, and you might think I've washed it, but that just shows you how fresh and moist it is. That liquid is just coming out of it. So I'm going to cook this one really simply, just in some butter with some garlic, chives and a bit of parsley. But the main thing I want to show you, compared to the one we'll see later in the video, is this really succulent young chicken of the woods. It kind of goes the colour of salmon when you cook it. Just look how kind of tender that is and moist. You see the moisture in it. So but the thing I would say is that if you are concerned about picking chicken of the woods from you because of the controversies surrounding that, then just pick it from something else, because you can quite easily find it on oak or willow or cherry, sweet chestnut. Because I would say the worst stomachache you can get, or one of the most annoying, is a psychosomatic one from eating chicken of the woods from you and thinking you've been poisoned and it won't go away. That's very annoying. I've had a psychosomatic stomachache years ago when I first started collecting mushrooms, and actually it was some of the best ones you could find, which was Boletus edulis, seps, penny buns, as we'd call them in the UK. And I had made the right identification, but given it was one of the first things I'd ever picked, I wasn't quite sure, so my uncertainty just brought on the most horrific stomachache. Anyway, we'll just cook that for a couple of minutes. Add the garlic. A little bit of pepper. And just a salt. Of course, you can cut it as large or as small as you like. What I would say with this one, actually, that I've not heard of people eating even really young, tender specimens like this raw. So, you know, you don't have to go out of your way to like fry it to within an inch of its life, but you know, cook it like you would fry any mushroom, or braise or bake or whatever you're doing. And there we are, chicken in the woods. So I've been looking for one so I could show you how I prepared it. The last one I only had one jar, and then as it was a test, after pressure cooking it, I ate it all. So I'll try with this one and take you through the process. Still lovely and canary yellow on the underside. It's just a little bit, it's thinned out, you see, and it's a little bit firm. I love it when it's really soft at the edges, so that when you cook it, it kind of turns the colour of salmon. This one won't do that, but I might find others as well. You never know. Sometimes I think of these mushrooms as clouds, and I like to harvest them at the stratocumulus, or I guess cumulonimbus stage of just billowing into kind of life and freshness before they start to tear. This is one growing over a month, and finally me cooking it in the ultimate way of acknowledging that it's a chicken of the woods. Another one I've just stumbled across. It's a shame, I guess, well, compared to things like jelly ear, which have the amazing ability to just rehydrate when it's wetter, and then carry on growing. Chicken of the woods doesn't do that. I mean, this is a young one, but it's just, you know, it's in a quite windy area. It's quite dry. I mean, it's very dry. So that's it really. It's not going to carry on growing. Just that. Still some moisture in there, but not that lovely, really tender, literally dripping when you squeeze it, tender, which is so nice to harvest and cook. But I am going to get it anyway, because although it's never quite the same as having it fresh and tender, this will be nice, kind of slow cooked, chopped and then slow cooked in a stew, or just braised on its own, quite slowly. Actually, you can see where I've just picked that one, but I've just walked around the corner. Basically, I came to this sweet chestnut coppice, because I thought I might find some, and I've just seen another one around the corner here on this old fallen dead chestnut. Looks a little bit better, might not be, but it looks more protected. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's firming up still, but it's definitely moister. Good. Actually, look, you can see you see the moistness in there? But even so, like, it's not, this kind of happens, you see, it goes like that, it's kind of brown on the top. It's a sign that it's been quite dry. So in the current conditions, I probably won't find, unless it's really deep down in a kind of a low shaded, I mean a steep sided, well shaded, very damp kind of valley area in the woodlands by a stream or something. I probably won't find anything super tender in these really warm, dry conditions, but you never know. Happy with that though. Look at the colour, lovely. Yeah, I tend to find these mostly on sweet chestnut, cherry, oak, yew. I know there's a bit of debate about whether it's safe to eat them from yew trees. The view being that it might take on some of the toxic chemicals of yew. I mean, all I can say to that is I've been eating them from yew for 30 years without any problem. And I've not seen any evidence to suggest that it is a problem, but yeah, if anyone knows of such data, please pass it my way, because I'm always, happy to be corrected and update my knowledge. But yeah, these are sweet chestnuts, so no ambiguity or uncertainty there. You can find them on other trees too. The biggest one I found was on, what was it? I think it was an aspen. Was it a grey poplar? Can't remember now. It's quite a few years ago. Okay, prepared chicken of the woods into chicken stock for about an hour.
I'm doing a ovulation calendar here. Not about
for humans or chickens?
No chicken. No,
I already know
pigs,
your
pigs.
ovulation calendar because it's the same as Alice's, yeah.
So I poured away all the chicken stock. So it's all absorbed. Melting generous quantities of butter, a few cloves of garlic. So that prolonged boiling of a rather firm chicken of the woods doesn't actually tenderise it up much more. I have heard that pickling can do that, and I'm kind of interested to see whether 90 minutes cooking in a pressure cooker will do it. Anyway, I'm going to cook this just till it's taking on some colour, and then we'll get on to the next stage. So the final stage, I've really stuffed them into these jars. Put some water in there. What do you call that thing? Trivet or something. So what I've done is actually, that's not very good, that one. So you want to screw the lids on, but not really tight. Just kind of on, but not really firmed down. And then put them in here. I mean, this is great, this pressure cooker. You can fit lots of jars in. And, you know, if I've found a bigger one, I could have done, I mean, the biggest chicken of the woods I found, which I shall show you, was 18.5 kilos. Well, I probably wouldn't, even if I filled this with jars, probably wouldn't have had enough. So these pressure cookers are from the States. I think they're much more into home canning there. It's really hard to do one-handed. There we are. Put the pressure gauge on. This one, you can't set it, so you kind of have to get it up to the PSI you want, and then just adjust the flame so you've got it just right. So I'm going to get it up to 10, possibly 15. Either way, I'm going to, once it's up to that point, I'll do it for 90 minutes. So that's the American FDA, Food and Drug Administration advice. It's like these low acidity vegetables to do at for 90 minutes. I think minimum of 10 psi. But actually, they don't recommend mushrooms. But I'm quite happy to do mushrooms, to be honest. I feel quite confident that'll be all right. So there we are. Leave that for 90 minutes, or well, 90 minutes from when it's up to 10 psi. And then, well, they should almost last virtually indefinitely. But when they come out, I won't show you this stage. But when what you do is when it gets to 90 minutes, you turn it off, and you kind of let the pressure gauge go down. And as it's cooling, it will suck the lid like really hard down. So a vacuum will be created, at which point, when you open it up, then you can screw the lids on really tightly. It's just if you screw the lids on really tightly before, obviously the pressure is going to build up, and the pressure tries to get out of the jar and there's nowhere for it to go. So That's what happens. I don't quite understand the physics behind that, because you would have thought that it's all at the same pressure in there, that it wouldn't do that, but it does. So that's why we use those jars. Right, that's been 90 minutes. I'll turn that off. Actually, just leave it now for the dial to go to 0. To be honest though, it is fun to do this. Surprisingly, not that hot. What it is if you go any further down. But just let that go down naturally.
Right, so Thomas is waiting for us. Do you want me to have the small piece and you have the